Hello, fellow heroes. The Call of Duty Black Ops 7 open beta has just kind of ended, and I've woken up early this morning, if you could excuse the bedhead, to really download Battlefield 6 and make sure it's ready for my stream. I was actually pretty surprised at how thoroughly done I was with the beta for Black Ops 7. At one point I just didn't want to play it anymore and record any more shots or vids for the video, but I still think we should talk about it. Starting off right here with what people are thinking about it, I want to give you guys kind of the 101 on everything that's going on. We got Battlefield 6 saying it peaked at 500,000 players and Black Ops 7 at 72,000 players. Now be careful with this. I recommend you going and figuring out what the actual numbers are for yourself. I couldn't really find a source that determined how many numbers Black Ops 7 had. This is also Battlefield propaganda with them going off of 2 months. All-time peak 2 months ago. Battlefield 6 also had more time to gain hype. Black Ops 7, this is within a 24-hour peak. Now, I will also say this. Black Ops 7 beta didn't generate as much buzz as the Battlefield 6 beta did. So I do believe this. When I go around looking for things that were kind of interesting and things that players were excited for, the main thing I could find was Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will have open matching at launch and having non-disbanding lobbies at launch as well. So for multiplayer. And what does this mean? Basically, like Christmas noobs. You get to go against Christmas noobs again. And that's a fun thing. However, when I was in the beta and they had the open mosh pit lobbies and then the essentially, I guess, the matchmaking mosh pit lobbies where they try to like put you with people of similar playstyle, I didn't really feel a difference. I don't know if that was because I wasn't doing too great or if that was because they do it based off a win-loss. The only true difference I felt was that in the non-open ones and the ones that should have put you with people of your ranking, I felt like more players were doing the objective more often. I would still have games where we would get absolutely pooped on, but I also had games where it felt like I was playing against bots in both types of lobbies. The only difference is I think the closed ones, players were trying to win, so they might just match you up with people based off the win-loss ratio. The maps themselves, when it comes to Call of Duty in this game, are really small. I mean, kind of not as small as Nuketown, but so small you can send a grenade launcher to the other side right when you spawn and attack the entire other team. I am a fan of small maps. Matter of fact, the maps in this game I actually really like. There's bringing back the 3-lane system. I didn't enjoy Black Ops 6 maps because of how much they encourage camping. And speaking of encouragement, I am starting to see the kind of what the community likes about Call of Duty and what I'm just tired of, and it's the oppressive nature or meta that Call of Duty creates. And I think as by the end of this video, you'll fully understand what I mean, but you know, players who are enjoying the game and players who I think who stick to the game are getting, 102 eliminations with 11 deaths. That's something I would rarely get, even on my best days. And I understand why you wouldn't want to give up a game if you're doing this good. There are big fans to the game going out. They are going out of their way. Still, the console wars may be over. Console wars may be dead. But people are trying to bring back some of the fight between Battlefield and Call of Duty. However, I mean, how many people are really onto this with 71 likes? I just thought it was cute and funny, and it was up there with all the rest of the other popular posts talking bad about Battlefield 2024 and how Black Ops 6 is superior, stating that it is generally favorable at 82 on Metacritic. But if we look at it Metacritic, yeah, the fans didn't like it. And this is why I love doing what I do, because people of all sorts and sizes will go out there and try to tell you what they want you to hear. But in reality, both games were just not great. Not great at all. This guy right here, I'm going to show you guys what actual good Call of Duty gameplay looks like, and then you can see my clips and you can compare what an average player probably looks like. But this is an example of of what the gameplay is intended at I guess at, like, once you've mastered the movement system, it is another mobility shooter. A lot of the times you're going to be going in, sliding, looking out for people. The weirdest thing is, probably the thing that happens most often, is whenever you slide and another person's sliding to check corners, and you slide past each other, and then you turn around and it's a game of peekaboo, and then you're looking up and down because now they're starting to jump, and then you're trying to kill them, and then you kill them, and then you turn around the next corner, you slide, and you do it again and again, and some people are hopping, and the whole game is just like looking everywhere to try to get the kills where it's at. And, you know, I've talked about mobility shooters before, and if you're new to the channel and you're new to hearing me talk about this kind of stuff, I think when mobility shooters are more of a niche, it's the answer to a symptom, and the problem being, you know, trying to improve shooters, or innovate shooters, I should say better, but that over-innovation can lead to more stagnation. And I think that's what this brings. But really cool. I mean, awesome, fun to watch gameplay. But most players don't play like this, and I think that's the biggest thing, is when you're in most lobbies, you're not really seeing people going around killing you the way that this guy's doing. And a lot of times, other people are sliding and jumping as well. And based on how good you are, it can be a coin flip on whether you win or not. But if you're keeping up with it, if you're staying locked in and you're going in for it, yeah, you can make the coin flip into your favor a lot of the times. I think the biggest, a good takeaway from this is this clip right here,
besides you guys.
We have
I did an interview yesterday, and the last line
with
they
Activision.
wanted me to say was,
I'm super excited for Warzone during the interview. He handed back the mic and said, I'm not saying that right now. So they wanted him to say, I'm super excited for Warzone, for Black Ops.
Yeah.
Didn't say it.
I've never got a funnier stare in my life. They're like, wait, really?
I think that's good on him. I think I do get tired of marketing teams that go out of their way to just be like, hey, our game is good. You should play our game because it's good. And then you're just like, oh, okay, well, if the game is good, I guess I'll play it. I'm glad we got this clip in there of them trying to just tell us that the game is good. And then really, that's the buzz for the game. That's the most I could see. People are happy you can fight Christmas noobs now. And I know I talked about the mobility shooter and what that went into, but I want to add more to it, where time to kill is up. And it's so that you can, you know, if someone's shooting you from behind, you can get around a corner without dying right away. It's also so that, like, gunfights end up being a back and forth. If someone gets the first shot off of you, you can still come back to it by getting a headshot, and it adds a little bit more to the skill base, but all of it ends up going into the making a higher skill ceiling and making it harder for just average players to go into. And it feels like you're going into this game, or going into Call of Duties now, and they're feeling more and more niche to mobility shooters, or people who like mobility shooters. But it's going to be the same COD as always. I never felt like, I think the biggest takeaway from the beta is I never felt like the game ever challenged me. It's, you go in, you learn how to slide, you learn how to jump, you predict the spawns, and that's it. They didn't do much like how in Battlefield 6 did, where I could spawn with my squad. I could spawn on a vehicle with a friend. I could play as recon. If enemy team has middle objective, I can go behind them, put a spawn point for my team, have my team go take that spawn point behind the middle objective, cut them off, start spawning waves of our teammates to take out the back line. And it's just, you know, making me feel like a tactical general in the game. Whereas in Call of Duty, it's, okay, we're playing domination. They have BC. I'm going to flank around and take C. They're going to spawn at A. Now it's a gamble whether I can take them all out on A and hold A. And notice how I said I. There is no encouragement for team play in Call of Duty. And that is the way of it, is being just a Chad and creating an oppressive nature for the enemy team to where you just lock them out of everything because you're doing so good at getting kills and then getting kill streaks of that nature. And then when you play ranked, it turns more into holding positions and finding good positions to out maneuver your people, because camping just ends up being the best way to play Call of Duty. The gun progression in general in Black Ops 7 was interesting because the game felt really slow when you're playing it at first. Like, it's slow to get out tactical equipment, it's slow to get out lethal equipment, it's slow to throw a tomahawk. And at first I was like, okay, well, maybe they're just prioritizing gunplay, but no, it's just a more prioritization on mobility, because really the best way to get kills is knowing how to be able to move around. And if someone's pushing down a hallway and you peek that hallway, you know, you're giving it a 50-50. But if you slide into the hallway, then they can't get their crosshairs on you, and you're giving yourself more of a chance to take them out. You know, and I started out playing on controller because I just wanted to use aim assist, but I just felt like, okay, well, I'm better on mouse and keyboard, so let me go and do that. The problem with playing with mouse and keyboard is that whole up and down, left and right, moving your cursor around crazy all the time, and it just becomes a hassle when you have to do it over and over again. So I realized, okay, everything's really slow, and when you start progressing things, yeah, when you start getting attachments on guns and you figure out the right loadout, a gun can feel really kick-ass. And then you go to work on another gun, and you're like, wow, I'm curious to see how this gun's going to turn out. So it's interesting how nerfed and how slow everything is, because they want to reward you with the progression system and give you badass stuff, but you have to grind the game, essentially turning it into a retention system instead of a true progression system. Instead of making you feel strong and then making you stronger, you have all this really cool stuff that's locked behind progression, and the whole idea is retention. And Call of Duty has always done that. I just feel like this game does it more aggressively than the other ones. There's also the tactical equipment. No one's really using it other than like the special one where, you know, over time, whether you get kills or objectives or even dying, the special one that lets you turn invisible, which I think is pretty neat, because if you throw the tomahawk while you're invisible, you stay invisible. There's also another one that I like where you got to put down a buff AoE, and so anytime people were using their kill streaks or skill streaks, it would be upgraded. So if you had UAV, it turns it into advanced UAV if you're in the bubble. And I think that was their way of trying to add more cooperation and team play and encourage players. But it's so subtle, and it doesn't do much. It helps people be more oppressive. That's really how the team play works, and it goes into all that. It's going into, okay, let me help you get your kill streaks. Let me help you figure out how to drop more tactical newts or get that VTOL you've been trying to work for this entire time. It's all towards just oppressing the other team and who can oppress each other the most. My favorite one had to have been the hologram. Going in, being able to throw a hologram down and hold an objective or capture an objective is actually really huge in hardcore or domination. And I think a lot of players just didn't know that the hologram actually holds and contests the objective. And so most people weren't going out of their way to break them. I'm sure that's going to change in the future, unless you're playing with those Christmas noobs. And then on top of that, that's another example of the more oppressive gameplay. Like, don't rely on your teammates, play solo, become the most oppressive thing you can for your team. And it turns it into a more meta way of playing that makes you lose any other type of playstyle. They didn't even have smokes in the beta, which I'm assuming they're not going to have smokes in the main game. And they did that on purpose. It takes away more of that tactical play. It's a lot of just running and gunning, making sure you win your gunfights, win your next fight, and then predict the spawns so you don't get shot in the back, because the maps are small, and if you stay too long moving forward, you will get flanked. So it's kind of like, Call of Duty Ghosts. Get a kill, turn around, and then get another kill. I like the perk system. It's a lot like Black Ops 6. I mean, it's another Black Ops game. I do like if you want to specialize in a certain thing. And again, I like the 3-lane system of the game. I think the guns felt okay. They felt great after you upgrade them, but the whole retention progression system just felt more of a chore than usual. And same with everything else, having to slide around every corner, having the jump bounce around things and going back. It felt so repetitive that the whole time, the whole system just made me kind of done, before the game even came out. And I think a lot of people felt this way about Call of Duty. I think a lot of people are burnt out with how things are going on. And I do understand why it's still popular, because they are leaning into the niche that they have. But that's really what I have to say about Call of Duty. It's going to be another entry into the series. It's going to be another Call of Duty. No big surprise there. Until next time, guys, play nice. I'm going to go play some Battlefield 6 now.